Welcome back to the Football Tragics. I'm your host, Aaron, joined here by Morty and Campo. How are we doing today, lads?
Brilliant.
Couple of great results. All three of us were winners this week. Tony's not here, but they're a winner as well. We'll get into those games in a bit. But we're going to jump straight in. It's the first game of the round. It was West Ham versus Newcastle, 1-1 draw. I mean, who predicted this one? Newcastle's keeping their form alive, I suppose, Campo. What do you reckon?
Yeah, West Ham needed to win this game. If they wanted to apply pressure in that European race, this is a game they had to win. Without Trippier, who's been the MVP the last couple of weeks, they had to go out there, put on a performance. And Declan Rice was the person who let them down and made the error. And at the end of the day, it cost them the 3 points.
Yeah, it was a disaster class from Declan Rice, I suppose you could call it. Didn't have a great game, but, I mean, it's one off for him, really, isn't he? He's been outstanding this season. But like you said there, West Ham, they are slipping up a little bit. They're not in great form, and they're letting all the other teams catch them for that fourth spot. And I think they could find themselves slipping out of Europe completely. So they got to be careful for sure. What are your thoughts, Morty?
Look, it's just an off game for them. I mean, we all knew West Ham don't have that greater squad depth. I think we're getting to that point of the season where it's not the Europe's. It's just the fact that they're playing week in, week out, and we're all playing catch-up games as well. So they're playing two times a week without fail, and they're getting breaks. But, I mean, Declan Rice is probably one of their only internationals as well, so he's actually filling in too. He's probably played a whole lot of minutes, and I don't think he's had a rest at all this season, so you can't really fault him. I mean, it's 1-1 draw at the end of the day against Newcastle. They slip for one goal. What's the attack doing for the rest of the 3 goals that everyone else seems to score against them? So.
What are your thoughts on Newcastle then? They're obviously in some decent form. They were 3 on the trot. This is their first draw, especially without Kieran Trippier, who has been their most important player since signing. Are they're looking good? They're going to do enough to stay up now?
Possibly. I'm not going to count it yet, but they're looking like they've at least got some fight in them now. Like even, Shelby's turning it on for some reason. Again, the bloke never fails to score. Never fails to just do John Joe Shelby things, and it would not surprise me if the bloke gets him relegated on the final day of the season by getting himself a red card and sent off.
I like with Newcastle, they signed a striker, Joe Linton. They realised he can't shoot, but he can actually play good passes, and so they just chuck him in centre mid. But this team's still looking solid without Bruno starting in the midfield from them. So when he becomes a regular starter, I think they go up another level.
Yeah, well, you can't seem to get into that team in a minute because, like you said, Shelby's playing well. There's no real need for him. Like you can't throw him in the deep end, I suppose. But yeah, once they throw him in, hopefully they do go up another level because they do look pretty good. I mean, Chris was not scoring, but I think he brings a lot to the team. I suppose it'll be interesting to see moving forward, Kieran Trippier, how much of a loss he is. But hopefully they can manage without him because it's probably going to be a little while, I think.
8 weeks.
Yeah, till April, I suppose. So, yeah, they're looking all right. West Ham, I don't know if I believe Morty, if I believe Campo, if it's a slip up or if it's, they're starting to fall down the ladder a bit, but we'll see in the coming weeks. All right, moving into a team that lost on the opening day of the season to this team, but they've turned it around 2-1 for Arsenal. Campo, lead us off. What were your thoughts on this game?
It's just one to eat. I just see Brentford as a free 3 points. Arsenal turned up, did what they had to. Their young guns performed again, Saka and Smith Rowe. But Brentford have not done it. Like they had that good start of the season and they've just fallen off completely. Attack, pretty shit. Defense, okay, but I think they're going to fall into that bottom end of the table shortly when Newcastle's going to jump them. But again, it's just comfortable for Newcastle. Arsenal had 4 times the shots they had, created all the chances. Should have had two penalties, but VAR so otherwise. But just comfortable for Arsenal.
Do you think that Brentford? I mean, you said they had a great start to the season. Obviously, we all know they did. Could they find themselves still getting relegated, or should they do enough? I mean, they're probably in the worst form out of anybody in the league. And like you said, they're only 2 points above a Newcastle team who has 2 games in hand. Watford have 2 in hand. Burnley have 3 in hand. They could definitely get relegated if they're not careful, right?
Yeah, 100%. They could easily Watford. They look better under Allardyce. Is it Allardyce is the coach?
Roy Hodgson.
One of the old twats. They look better under him somehow. So it's just wait and see if they can continue that form.
Morty, do you agree? Could they find themselves getting relegated?
I don't think so. I think they're just kind of suffering from the Premier League. I mean, they've come up from the Championship. I'm not saying the Championship's a whole lot easier, but there are games in the Championship where they can kind of relax a little bit more. But Premier League's week in, week out. There is no team that's going to let you chill, and I think they're suffering for it. Much like Leeds last year, we saw them come out of the gates hot, and they're towards the end of the season they were sort of just stutter. But they've still got the quality. I think they just need to, had that first year, hold on, and get a bit more squad depth in there, and bring in some signings, and they'll probably do a bit better next year. I can't see them going down. I mean, all they can, chill for the next 2 weeks, lose 2 more, and turn it on for the last 5 games of the season, and the pressure's not on them at the moment, but 2 wins and they'll be going clear. Burnley, mate, there's no worry about Burnley. Get 4 games at hand, they'll draw all 4, so they'll still be in the relegation zone.
I mean, I think they're suffering from the second season syndrome that Sheffield United suffered from, where they went down, but they're having it a little earlier. So, like you said, they had a great start to the season, but now they're falling off a little bit. But look, I do think they're in very big threat of going down if they're not careful, because Watford's, they do look better. Ismail Sarr's now back from AFCON, and he's added something back to that Watford team. Norwich even somehow, they look better. I mean, they're not getting results like they look better. And then Burnley, which we'll get into in the next game, it's a perfect segue, 3-0 win over Brighton. I mean, unexpected, out of nowhere. I mean, what can you say? Campo, straight back to you again. Thoughts on this game? I heard you predicted the 1-0 win for Burnley.
King Weghorst.
He scored first goal of his Premier League season, and probably thinking, you see him on the score sheet, you're probably thinking it's a header, being 6'6". It's an absolute great finish, rocket into the net. Thoughts on the game?
I just knew there would be one stupid result this week, and it just would not have surprised me if Burnley got up for this game, played their shit football, and scraped a 1-0. But, they created 3 great chances and they scored all 3. And Brighton had all the possession and did nothing with it. They didn't create nothing against a pretty average team. But King Weghorst is going to carry them to safety.
Safety, wow. I mean, you said you expected one shock result. You're not thinking Spurs a bit later was not the shock result of the round?
That's a given, mate.
Morty, what were your thoughts on this one?
Don't let this fool you. Burnley are Burnley at the end of the day. They've only played like this one other time and they've won. And if it's taken them 20 other games of the season to realise that they can play attacking football, they'll take another the last 10 of this to play another attacking football game. Weghorst, he's looked good, okay, this game. Yes, he scored, yes, But at the end of the day, it's Brighton. Brighton have lost their centre-back in the summer or winter, whatever their transfer window is. They're putting a new centre-back in there. They're probably still working out the kinks. And Burnley have just punished them for it. Weghorst has looked absolute arse for the past 2 weeks. He's been in there and he's done something.
I think he's looked all right.
He looked class against United.
No, he's stumbling over feet. Nah. No.
For a 6'6" bloke, I think he's got great ability. He's not just a Peter Crouch header merchant. He's dead set. About him.
That doesn't matter how tall you are. You've got to have the ability about him. Just go. He's 6 foot and a little bit of ability.
He has a lot of ability. That's why I rate him.
I'll wait and see. Burnley, shock result. We'll go with it. It's not happening again next week.
Well, I do agree with you. I still fancy Burnley to be one of the teams to go down. I think they have run their course, but it's so interesting there. They've got a little bit blessed, I suppose, in the fact that you've got those games in hand, but we all say that you'd rather have points on the board. But yeah, I mean, I can't pick who's going down at this stage, but they are one of them. It's a great result for them, and against a Brighton team who have looked a bit average recently. They're hitting the opposite of purple patch, as Campo would like to say, as he goes walkabouts now. they're in some weird form, Brighton, but they should turn them around and hopefully for their sake keep that top half of the table finish. But
Just on the Burnley, I mean, you look at their next games, they're coming out against Tottenham, arguably in form. You know, who's like Leicester, who are in probably shocking form, but you'd imagine they'd be trying to turn it on. Then Palace, Chelsea, and then Brentford, and then, as we say, if Brentford haven't won until then, they'll be on thing. And I don't see Burnley. I see Burnley getting 3 points for 3 draws for the next thing. I don't see them winning in the next 5, and we're back to square one with them.
Yeah, I agree 100% with you there. There's a very tough fixture list coming up for them. And if they can somehow get out of there with 6 points even, they'll consider themselves lucky. So, yeah. I mean, I think they're going down at the end of the day. All right, moving into the Liverpool game, which I've got to update the scores real quick. Norwich, it was 3-1, Liverpool over Norwich. I mean, it started shaky for you, did it not, Morty? Went 1-0 down, courtesy of a massive deflection.
Yeah, it was. Now, I'm not going to blame Matip for the goal, but I think this is just proving, I think Konate needs to be that starting centre-back with Van Dijk now. You've seen him turn it on in Champions League. He's been quality every game he's played. He pocketed Ronaldo. I think Matip, yep, he's a great defender. He's not the world beater, but he's going to be there as backup. I think just throw Konate in there. He'll do wonders. Let him thrive now with Van Dijk, because 2 years down the track, Konate will be coming into it, and Van Dijk will be on its last leg. Konate will be the one leading the line then. So we'll go with that. But yeah, what do you know? Sadio Mane with a, would you call it a bicycle or a windmill? What do you call that?
I'm not having it as a bicycle, but it's a great acrobatic finish. But you can't be calling it a bicycle.
The bloke can't score standing upright, but you throw him in any other direction, he'll find a way to finish something. I look at that and I go, you know what? Mane he's so put down because he's compared to Salah in that team. But you look at him, he's got 9 goals and an assist. He's got 10 goal contributions. He's only played 15 matches, I think. So what more can you ask for him? He's one of the greats, and I enjoy watching him play. He frustrates me sometimes, but at the end of the day, so does Salah. So quality win. Not much to say about Norwich, other than their lucky deflection. They offered absolutely nothing. So we'll move on.
Campo, Luis Diaz goal, first goal in the Prem for him. It's a great signing, but I think he kind of fits that Liverpool mould perfectly.
Yes, but he's just going to play second fiddle for the rest of the season. He's a great backup. He is. You saw in his finish, there was a lovely little dig to chip the goalkeeper, but if he's patient enough, he'll get his turn when Mane goes or Salah goes, but until then, he's just going to sit playing backup.
Is it not the same? Is it not the same as the Diego Jota situation though, where he was I suppose signed as his backup, and now all of a sudden he's starting her Firmino?
I don't see Klopp ever dropping Mane or Salah for him. That's been his guys for a long time, and I don't see it changing anytime soon.
Morty, agree? Disagree?
We all sit here and praise City for their squad rotation and squad depth, and Liverpool start bringing in some backups, and we say, "Oh, they're playing second fiddle." You'll start to see Klopp rotate through them all. You've seen it throughout the leagues. We're in every cup still this year. Usually Klopp sacked him off. He didn't give a shit about him. We're in everything still. So I think this is probably the start of Klopp getting that squad depth and start rotating it through, getting him through. I genuinely think you'll start to see Salah sit out some of the games leading up to Champions League matches now, not to determine his goal or anything like that, but they want to win some more trophies, and they'll start doing whatever they need to now.
Do you think Firmino, could he possibly be on the way out at the end of the season, or is he fine?
I think this is the start of him transitioning back to. He was a centre mid when he first came to Hoffenheim, and then they threw him up top, and we started throwing him up top. I think you'll start to see him fall back a bit. I want to see Thiago Firmino in front of them, and then Jota leading the line with Salah and Mane either side, and then throw Diaz either side of that as well. I think you'll start seeing, hopefully, that play out, because if Firmino wins the ball back from up front, imagine what he's going to do in the thick of it in the middle. he'll just be all over it. So it'd be interesting to see, though.
Yeah, he's definitely an absolute quality player. And, I mean, speaking about the game, I don't think even at 1-0 down, like, it was really threatened, like you should easily have come away with 3 points soon. You have done exactly that. You've taken your chances. And, again, put some massive pressure on Man City. We'll get into that game in a little bit and elaborate more on the table then. But yeah, massive win for you guys. Much needed, important one. Keeps your run for the last 5 or so games, however many it's been. I mean, perfect, basically. Another team that's been really good recently and into the top half of the table, Southampton, 2-0 over Everton. Did you see this coming, Morty? I don't know what you predicted for this game, but it's a great result for Southampton, terrible for Everton.
As I said on the last pod, it would be the last week I give Southampton credit, and I said they would win just because it was the last week to spite them. Good on them, they've won. We can get into the next pod and I'll start shooting on them again. But Everton looked stale. And not only that, how the hell did Pickford get beaten near post from like 20 yards out? What on earth? What the hell was he doing?
I mean, you've seen the arms of the
shocking.
T-Rex.
Huh?
You've seen the arms of the bloke, little T-Rex arms.
All we have to do is fall to the ground. Use your feet. He used his feet to take out our centre back. Use your feet to stop the ball. Oh, damn it. But yeah, not much to say. Are we talking about this relegation battle? Everton are skirting on the edges of that. They're not far off that drop.
Yeah, probably.
And they've got some tough runs coming up too. They've still got to play all the big dogs again. It's not going to be pretty.
Yep. Campo, thoughts on the Everton situation and the game?
Southampton battered them. They created very good chances. That could have finished 4-5-0. But again, it was comfortable for Southampton. Everton looked lost. They had no creativity. But again, I think they're more safe than your likes of who's down the. I think they're a lot more safe than what you think they are. They probably have the best squad of anyone in the relegation battle, and just the signing of Van der Beek and Dele Alli alone should be enough to keep them up.
Yeah, but I mean, results matter, right? And this is against the Southampton team. They probably should have gone there and got at least a point.
You say that, but Southampton are on some really good form here. So on a team that's absolutely flying versus a team that's just trotting along, you could easily see this result happening.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with Southampton. They do look quality, and they absolutely did batter them this week. I mean, something about Che Adams is he's hitting some great form recently. He's scoring goals, he's assisting goals. He's really getting stuck in. And I thought with Brozier coming in, he'd be pushed to the side, but they've formed a great partnership here. And then all of a sudden, Shane Long off the bench is scoring goals. So that Southampton team, they're pushed up the ladder. And yeah, are they away from the European spots? Yes, but to finish, if they can sneak into 8th or even 7th potentially come end of the season, it's a great finish for them. And
that's conference, isn't it? That's Europe.
Yeah, well then there you go. They could definitely sneak it. I don't see them getting that European spot, but it's turning out to be a very good season here. And moving to the next game. Sorry if anybody's audio is a bit average. It's bloody raining outside. User copping it, I'm copping it. But it's Aston Villa 0, Watford 1. I mean, again, who saw this result coming? Villa should have battered Watford, but it's a 1-0 win against the Stevie G side that's actually been very average recently. Morty, what are your thoughts on that?
I think, taking to the other results, I think this is probably the biggest upset of them all. A clean sheet for Watford, unheard of this season. I think it's 6 managers they've been through without a clean sheet.
It's the second clean sheet I'm getting.
Yeah, they have one.
But previous to that, under this manager, clean sheet against Villa, who, yes, they've been stale, but they've still been scoring, and they've been scoring some worldies. I don't know what to say about Watford. We've seen glimpses of this throughout the season, but they're still down in that bottom relegation zone. So I can't see it continuing, and I can't see them producing that. Like that was some sheer luck that they managed to put that away and create that chance. Not really, they didn't batter them the whole game. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Watford they've done this in the past. They've had a couple of great games, but then they fall back into their average form. I think getting Ismail Assar back from AFCON's been vital. I read a stat that I'm pretty sure Emmanuel Dennis has been involved in
all of their goals.
Yeah,
the bloke's done bits in fantasy. He gets goals or assists every week.
Yeah, literally 15 of their goals or something crazy, some serious stats. So he's an absolute baller. Will he get picked up by a bigger club next year? If they go down, I think absolutely. If they stay up, he probably stays for another season, keeps kicking on. What were your thoughts, Campo, though, on the result?
Shock result, but Watford played some really good counter-attacking football. They just hit him on the break time and time again. And again, with the chances they actually did create from that counter-attack, this could have finished 2 or 3-0. But again, they didn't. They just scraped through with a 1-0. And again, Stevie G was scratching his head, wondering how he dropped this game.
Yeah, spot on. Agree with you completely. All right, moving forward is Crystal Palace 0, Chelsea 1. Took until the 89th minute for us to score here. I'm going to lead us off with a stat. Lukaku 7 touches is the lowest since 2003 ever since they started recording stats. I think. Disgusting, but I don't know. What do? We look way better without him. That's the reality of it. I mean, as I said, it took to the 89th minute. Hakeem Ziyech played full 90, but it's his 3rd goal in a row in the league now. Looking probably our best player. But yeah, we should have won this game 4 or 5-0. And thankfully, we still came away with a 1-0 win, because had we have dropped points here, it's not looking good, because there's too many teams catching up for that 4th and even 3rd spot. If the likes of Arsenal, win all their games in here, they're only a couple of points behind us. So massively deserved win, but I would have liked to see it be 3-4-0. Lukaku needs to start pulling his head out and scoring some goals. What are your thoughts, Morty?
He's shaping up to be one of the flops of the season. We can't hide away from it. He's not going to be the biggest. We'll get into that idiot next round. But I think it's funny if you saw that. Do you see the top 10 of that list? The least touches. Of that top 10, 4 of the strikers have played against Palace. Vardy played twice. It was Lukaku and there was someone else, and they're all. I don't know how they've managed to do this, but they managed to do it. And then Palace have feared 5 times because Schmeichel had the least touches as well one of the games. So I don't know how Palace managed to do it, but they're doing something right. But again, Lukaku, he kind of just wants the ball at his feet to play off, and it's just the opposite of how Chelsea want to play. And I don't really know where you're going to go from there, because he does wonders with a second striker next to him. Playing with the wingers, they're a bit too far away, and we all see his first touch is basically a pass. So I don't know. Don't know what you're going to do. You managed to get the scrap to win, but it's looking shaky. And again, you're in all competitions too, so you've got some games to play with, along with us and City. But we'll have to see how you're going come the end of the season.
We are looking very stale. A lot of draws recently, so this result's much needed. I think you're right there with Lukaku wants ball to feet, but if we're going to do that, we need to be playing Timo Werner off him so he can run in behind, because the wingers that we have now aren't running behind. Pulisic is not running behind. He wants ball to feet as well. So does Ziyech. So you've got 3 players up top that want ball to feet. It's not going to work. I don't know why Timo's not getting game time. I don't know why Havertz is not getting as much game time in the league. I want to see Timo get some more game time, because I think he's brilliant off the ball on his runs. He might not have that impact all the time, but I think what he adds on the pitch is actually really important to how he works. And should Lukaku be dropped in general? Very possibly, because we look better without it, that's for sure. What are your thoughts, Campo?
Just sack him off. Just ship him back to Inter for 50 mil if they pay that. And just stop going back to your ex. You got rid of him once. He wasn't good enough the first time. What makes you think he's good enough the second?
Well, I mean, Inter signed Dzeko on a free, and he's looked the exact same player. Is that showing that Serie A is just a weak competition, or what do you reckon?
The defenders aren't as rough in the Serie A than they are in the Prem. I don't know. Just, again, Chelsea, if they drop this game, they've got so much competition on their tail. But again, you'd rather win when you're playing ugly football than when you're playing your best football and you lose. So take the 3 points and run.
Spot on. All right, talking of taking 3 points and running, Spurs 3-2 over City at the Etihad. Campo, we're obviously going to start with you. Thoughts on the game? Massive win.
I just think if we could have me as manager and we'd still get the 3 points at this rate. Again, Eric Dyer, as much as everyone likes to slag him, he is so important to our defence. Without him, Sanchez, he's got no idea what he's doing. The defence is all out of disarray. Eric Dyer comes in, he's a leader, demands the ball in the box, wants to head it out. He'll head a fridge out if it's coming in. But again, the new signings, Bentancur and Kulusevski, had it big and played very well this game. Bentancur turns the ball over a few times a game, but that's what you get with him. I've read all posts from Juve fans saying, yeah, he'll turn the ball up, move it quick, but he'll also lose it in risky areas. That's just what you get with him. So you live and you learn, but very good counter-attacking performance. Harry Kane was at the centre of everything. It shows why City should have just splashed the cash, 200 mil, 180, whatever the Spurs are asking, you had to pay it. Because it's just opened the title race wide open now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Harry Kane, I think, just showing Pep what he missed out on. He signed 100 million Jack Grealish, who has not been amazing, and he could have had this Harry Kane, who against City plays well. Spurs in general against City, it's their bogey team. They love to play him. I mean, you were coming off 3 losses in a row in the league, and then all of a sudden, bam, you go and turn around, and you actually had that many chances. Like, looked so much better than City, and like you said, there blew the title race wide open, which will lead us into Morty. Your thoughts on the game?
I knew it was going to happen. I told Tony, we sat here and I said, it's not going to surprise me when Tottenham win this game. And they have. And I wasn't even shocked about it. Like, I can't be annoyed because it means City dropping points. Can be annoyed because it's bloody Tottenham. But you've managed to beat them twice in the same season. When's the DVD coming out, Campo? Surely.
Well, last time that happened was 87-88 season. So.
And they had $0 then. So they managed to beat you at least once for the last 30 years without funds.
No, that was like the reigning champions. The first time we beat the reigning champions twice in a season.
All right, fair enough. But yeah, look, Kane, he looked quality as a centre forward, and that's kind of how City exactly want to play. I don't know why they didn't. Like, they don't even seem to want to use Grealish. So why did they not just throw 200 at Kane? What stopped them doing that?
Well, can we see Kane going there next season? Campo, are you pretty confident he would stay now?
With Conte at the helm, I think he stays.
But how many times, like, I understand Conte is a much better manager, but so was Jose. How many times is Kane going to start a season with the manager and go, yep, no worries, we're looking forward. You get halfway in, it's gone pear-shaped again, and you're starting all over again. The bloke's almost 30. He's not going to win a trophy. If he doesn't go next season, I don't think he's going, because City can't hold on forever. And as they've shown, Liverpool are edging closer. You know, Chelsea are on their back. Chelsea have still won a Champions League again before them. They need to sign someone big next season to fill that void. And if it's not Kane, there's other options in the market, and they're going to be able to afford them. I don't see Kane staying again.
Kane just needs to work out if he actually really values winning trophies, because, I mean, as hard as
he's come out and said he has.
Yeah, it's probably not going to happen at Spurs. I mean, you might get that shock win, but I mean, he's probably not going to win the league next year, let's say. I mean, maybe in a few years' time, Spurs, yes, but right now,
Conte the helm are winning the league next year.
I understood, like, he stayed with Poch. You know, they made the Champions League final. Like, they came second. Things were looking right, and then it fell apart. A new manager came in, and they had the process in place. There's now been 3 managers forward. He started another 2 seasons. They've denied him being sold. I don't see a world where he stays again, because, again, Tottenham, doubtful of, you might make Europa. I don't know if you're going to scrap Champions League in there, because I can't go off your form of just beating City, because you're taking the previous games account. I don't see it happening. I don't know.
I mean, I think you guys just needed to stay in the Conference League. You had to, because that would have been a guaranteed trophy. Like, all the other teams in there are looking bang average. It should have been an easy win for Conte, but I mean, circumstances obviously a bit unfortunate there. But That would have been a perfect trophy to win, I suppose, to start Kane's legacy.
It is what it is.
But look, we're going to move forward. It's Leeds 2, United 4. I mean, this is probably one of the games of the round. Crazy scenes. I mean, what was it? Pouring down with rain. Some crazy goals here. United went 2-0 up, pegged back to 2-2 within, 53 seconds or something? And then they still got the job done against the Leeds team who they have goals and they also concede a lot of goals. Campo, thoughts on this one?
Leeds just cannot beat United. They just crack every time they play them. They concede a lot of goals. The only issue I had with this game was that Bruno, who got tackled, lost the ball in a very dangerous area. And he lost it cleanly, and instead of getting up and trying to get back, he laid on the floor, didn't even try and help the defense, and they conceded from it. I hate seeing that happen. If that's a Spurs player, I'm livid with him because he got up, carried on, and ended up getting an assist to win the game eventually.
Does he go in the bin? Can we get the line?
Bruno can get in the bin. And he was so lucky that he didn't end up costing his team 2 points. But comfortable.
We're talking about a Bruno, though, who is apparently having a bad season, but has the third most goal contributions between Jared Bowen and Mo Salah this season.
I never said he's having a bad season.
No, I'm saying the media in general is saying he's having a bad season.
It's just because United are such a big club, it gets clicks.
Yes.
Morty, thoughts on the game?
Look, it was end-to-end stuff. I think Tony took it perfectly. There's not going to be much defending going on in this game. It's just who's going to score the most, and 6 goals wasn't a letdown. So I think if you looked at the stats, you're going to go, Leeds had a lot of possession. They had the same amount of shots. Probably would have the same. But if you watched it, some of the Leeds shots were a bit how you going. And, I mean, one of their goals was a cross. Who scored it? What was it? West Ham that scored against City? Was it that one? Is that the same sort of situation? But it was even further out. So I guess it's not really a worldie these days. Maybe someone should take it up for some practice. But United, Manchester, that is, they looked good going forward. Pogba, he shows his class. I mean, he gets hated on, but he did, get that midfield moving again. Bruno, not having a bad season, not having a good season. But at the end of the day, you need to be putting those results in when your team is winning. It's very easy to get some stats on the board. Like Kane's done it for the past 7 years. I'm not taking a piss out of Kane. Like he takes quality shots. But that's the problem. You can take the penalties. You can do all this stuff, scrap some goals. But as you see, Bruno didn't get back and defend because he's always up front, waiting to poach a goal. It's going to get you a goal a game and concede 2. You're never going to win playing that style of football. And I think, unless they get that holding mid that they just shipped to Everton, I don't know what United are going to do because not every game is as open as that Leeds game. They flourish in that, and then they're going to come up against the Wolves or a Southampton again, and they're going to get battered. Simple.
I mean, they're unbeaten in a while. They haven't lost in a little while under Ralph. They're into 4th now. They've played all their games, so they've got their points that they can possibly get. They do have, obviously, like an Arsenal team and a Spurs team who, if they win all their games in hand, can jump them. But for now, they're in 4th. They're in better form than they were a little while ago. I don't know. Ronaldo's doing okay. Jadon Sancho's actually looking really good now. He's come into his own. And at the end of the day, it's 3 points. As I said, they're into 4th, so they're looking okay. Somehow, they scored off a corner for the first time in God knows how long. What was it, 150 or something that they took? And they finally scored. I always love Harry Maguire's goal celebrations because it's almost like he's shushing his critics every time. But then he just goes and drops a terrible performance the following week. So, love a Harry Kane goal, especially when he scores for England. But moving forward, we're going to finish with the final game of the round. We're going to try to keep it short because it's absolutely pissing down. That's probably hard to hear us. So, it's Wolves 2-1 over Leicester. I mean, Wolves are looking good. Leicester, on the other hand, not so much. Campo, what are your thoughts?
I'm just surprised someone could crack that Wolves defence. It's a tidy little goal. I'm surprised Jose's Jose Sarr couldn't extend his leg even further just to clear it because that man's looked unstoppable. But again, there was a 50-50 game in the air. Leicester controlled the game, but Wolves created a bit better chances, in my opinion. And they're just so resilient and they're so hard to beat. That defense is so organised. They don't give away many good chances. And again, Leicester just got punished.
Yeah. Morty, thoughts on the game?
Yeah, again, Wolves, that defensive line, they're doing something right. They're holding on and they're grabbing, they're poaching whatever they can up top. So they're looking like they can do well, but I don't know. I still think they're missing that cutting edge that's going to get them across the line in some tougher matches. They'll hold it someone else to a draw, or they'll hold. But if they want to push on to Europe and back to where they almost were, they need to probably look at getting another attacker in.
I definitely think they can get European football, whether or not it's Champions League. It might be a stretch, just because I think that the Spurs do or die probably beat them, and the United do or die probably beat them. But yeah, they could definitely get European football again, and they deserve it because they have looked really good. That defense is great. Jose Sarr, fantastic signing, hasn't missed a beat. Like it's brilliant. I mean, Bruno Lage is doing some sort of magic work there, and just shows. I mean, I suppose it's similar to how Nuno came in and kind of showed his worth there before moving on to Spurs. Leicester, though, on the other end, Brendan Rodgers needs to sort it out quickly because they did win in Conference League throughout the week. Big 4-1. It's their league that they need to carry on. Do I see them winning the Conference League? Possibly, and that's that would then be their avenue into Europa League. But without that, they're not qualifying for Europe. They're definitely not. They're going to slip down to probably about the 12th or 13th spot on the ladder, which for them is a poor season and probably gets Brendan Rodgers the sack. Whether or not he goes to a bigger club at that point, I don't know. But yeah, it might be his time up.
United.
I mean, they're probably getting poached, but I don't know. It could be his time up at the end of the season, but they need to sort it out quickly. We're going to wrap it up here. We'll obviously be back at the end of the week for the preview of match week 27. So thanks for joining me, lads, and I'll see you next time.
Peace.